Now that I'm done school, it's time I finally get back to my Fazbear Frights videos. Since I'm done school, I have a lot more time to read these stories again, and I want to finish the Fazbear Frights series before Tales from the Pizza Box comes out, because I will be reading all 3 stories and the epilogue for each and every book in the series, and I'll be doing summaries for each one. I also might reread all 3 stories and do more videos similar to these Fazbear Frights ones, where I search for details as well as possible extra lore that people might have missed. And that's of course what we're doing today. We have 3 more stories left, 1:35 AM, Room for One More, and Coming Home. And I'm also going to do a video reading every single epilogue, and I'll point out every single detail I find in the entire Citrate story. But today, we're doing 1:35 AM. And this isn't to say that I won't do any more Fazbear Frights videos even after Tales comes out. I might, probably less, but I still will probably do more videos. As of now, I'm still planning on doing videos on the stories in Bunny Call because while I have read them, I want to go a bit more in depth with them. But for now, you guys know the deal. We are going to be reading 1:35 AM, and I'll be pointing out every detail I notice in the book that may have slipped under the radar, and at the end, I'll also discuss a theory the story might be trying to hint at. Now, let's get started. Number 1. On Friday the 13th in May, I made a short video proposing that maybe the bite victim could have died on Friday the 13th in May of 1983. It makes certain sense, since other stories depicting a bite victim scenario also take place in May. Gumdrop Angel takes place on Ophelia's birthday, which is said to be almost June, obviously meaning it's May, and Jack in Friendly Face dying a few weeks before the end of school, likely being in May. So the bite victim in the games may have died in May, and it would also add a lot more horror factor if he were to die on the 13th of May, because in 1983 the 13th of May was Friday the 13th, and it makes relative sense that the final minigame would be a Friday. But people in the comments of that video reminded me that May 13th in the books is actually Charlie's birthday. What if Charlie actually died on Friday the 13th in May, and the bite victim died the week after? Maybe Charlie, just like the bite victim, also died on her birthday. The reason I'm bringing this up now is that May 13th would be written as 13-5, 135. 135 is Charlie's birthday, and this is even more interesting when you stop and think about the plot of this story. Number 2. In the books, the multiple versions of the Ella doll were created and used as a base for each of the Charlie bots. Ella is Charlie, so that makes it very interesting that a doll that literally is Charlie is the main antagonist in a story named after Charlie's birthday. Number 3. Delilah is woken up at 6:25 in the morning at the beginning of the story. Just for fun, I decided to Google what the number 625 represents, and it represents good and beneficial changes in your future that align with your life's mission. Delilah wanted a child, but she couldn't have one because she and Richard divorced. But in her future, she finds the Ella doll, which not only gives her what she wants, but it also has the benefit of being an alarm clock, which she desperately needs. Unfortunately, this doesn't end up well because she ends up throwing it away, but it would have been a benefit if she didn't do that. Number 4. The 135 connection shows that this version of Ella is still connected to Charlotte in some way, but Ella in the novel trilogy was made by Henry, but only made specifically for Charlotte. Let's just say we are to assume that Henry made the Charlie bots after Charlie died in the Stitch line as well as the novel trilogy. As I keep saying, Stitch line games just doesn't work, but Henry making the Charlie bots in the Stitch line does work. Think about it, that's how Eleanor could have been created. In the novels, Henry put so much work into the Charlie bots that by the 4th one, he was being driven insane. His insanity ended up fueling the 4th Charlie bot, prompting Henry to realize that there is something wrong with her. That's why this Charlie bot killed Elizabeth, which resulted in Elizabeth possessing her. But what if in the Fazbear Frights universe, Henry cancelled the Charlie bot projects because he learned about Charlie possessing the puppet, so William never learned about the project, and he never took the 4th Charlie bot, meaning Elizabeth never dies and possesses the bot. So that Charlie bot is just left over, only possessed by pure agony, anger, and pain, and also Henry's insanity. But this all begs the question of how the Ella doll could have possibly been mass-produced by Fazbear Entertainment. It was only made by Henry and specifically for Charlotte, and I think Henry would still have died in this universe, so how did this doll get mass-produced? And how did this family come to obtain it? Interestingly, later on in the story, Delilah Googles the Ella doll and finds out that the doll was discontinued for undisclosed reasons. Number 5. With Ella being Charlotte, I don't find it as a coincidence that Delilah tosses her into the dumpster in the alleyway next to her apartment building. To me, it just seems strikingly similar to where Charlotte dies in the games in the security puppet minigame from FNaF 6. Number 6. Delilah works at a diner, which immediately got me thinking of Fredbear's, but it's more interesting when you consider that Delilah's boss, Nate, has gray eyes, just like Afton does in the books, and Afton, of course, co-owns Fredbear's in the games. Number 6. When Delilah is looking through the trash bins for the Ella doll at 1:35 a.m., she finds a bunch of books in the dumpster. She wanted to take a murder mystery book, but it had suspicious red stains on it. In Epilogue 10, it's revealed that Eleanor is behind the events in this story. So what if this red stain actually is blood? It's really random and it's never brought up again, but it makes sense that this could be blood from someone Eleanor killed, since we know Eleanor has a habit of putting her victims' remains into garbage bags, as we see in To Be Beautiful. Number 8. Eleanor's involvement in this story may also explain another thing we see in this story. Delilah is unable to find Ella in the dumpster when she searches, and while she doesn't dig to the bottom of the dumpster, it's very possible that Eleanor just removed Ella from the dumpster. Number 9. When Harper looks up the meaning of the number 135, Delilah says she doesn't want to know what it means, and Harper says, "Whatever, it's your funeral." This is weird because if you Google the meaning of the number 135, the meaning is really positive. So why would this be Delilah's funeral? I don't know, but I think that the number's meaning isn't really important to this story. The meaning of the number more so reflects the characterization of Charlotte throughout the series, and as I've been saying, 135 is Charlotte's birthday, and Ella is Charlotte. So this could be a reference to that. Number 10. Throughout the story, Delilah is always having dreams that reflect the sound she hears when she wakes up. Nightmares caused by the Ella doll. Furthermore, the sounds always stop when Delilah uses the flashlight and shines it to wherever the noise is coming from. This very much seems to be a reference to the nightmare animatronics from FNaF 4, as they also go away when you shine the light on them, so long as they're not right up against the door. It could also be referencing the bite victim being behind the FNaF 4 minigames as revenge on Michael. Number 11. I think at this point, pretty much everyone knows this detail, as MatPat mentioned it in one of his videos, but I do want to briefly touch on it. At the end of the story, when Delilah goes into the vent, there's a part of it that heads downward. Delilah gets stuck in this vent and she clearly dies as there's no way for her to get out. This could very well be a reference to one of Han Unit's voice lines in Sys Location when he says,
"So, funny story, a dead body was found in this vent once." Okay, so, not that funny, but it's a story.
So those were all the details I found in 1:35 a.m. I personally think this story was pretty good, not like top tier, but it was decent. But there is one thing I think sticks out the most about the story. Delilah getting the Ella doll from a garage sale. See, in my out of stock video, I discussed the possibility of the FNaF 4 Nightmares and the Survival Logbook taking place after the events of FNaF 3. While I don't personally believe it, it may be possible, and if it is true, it might tie into stuff that this story may be hinting at. There's a theory called auction theory, and the theory states that the FNaF 4 Nightmares were caused by an item that Mike got at the auction that happened after FNaF 3. There's also some FNaF 3 references and modern trends and items that we can find in the Survival Logbook, confirming that the logbook was given to Mike during FNaF 3, which is what I believe. But it's also possible that Mike got the logbook in the auction as well. There is more to auction theory, but that's the main thing that is really important for this video. Finding the Ella doll in the garage sale and causing Delilah to get nightmares and also be woken up at 1:35 a.m. every night could be trying to tell us that Mike got a plush Springtrap or Fredbear from the auction, which caused him to have the FNaF 4 nightmares. It would explain the line in the FNaF 4 trailer saying, "What have you brought home?" And it would also explain the teaser of Plushtrap saying, "Terrible things come in small packages." Again, I believe FNaF 4 takes place shortly before FNaF 3, and I think that it's very clear that the bite victim is behind the FNaF 4 nightmares, but this story might just make it a little bit more possible that the bite victim was attached to one of the items that Mike bought at the auction. Though I still find it a bit more likely that FNaF 4's nightmares are before FNaF 3, 1:35 a.m. makes it a little bit more possible that it's after FNaF 3. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think FNaF 4 is before or after FNaF 3? Let me know in the comments and stay tuned for my video on Room for One More, which should be out in the near future. But anyways guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, then please do leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.